All right, Jerome. We're having these conversations about like styles and overexposure and kind of maximizing minutes and keeping the fire in the fireplace and not out in the forest. Like, and we were talking about Nebraska basketball last night and kind of how what was the real impact of Berke not playing and plus minus and Mia's minutes and exposure for Morgan and things like that. Did you realize? I guessed, so I was, it was Bon Jovi, right? Something about a prayer.
Living on a prayer.
That Morgan averaged 23 and some change at his previous stop. And last night he gets to the 30-minute mark. And the only reason this came up is because I thought he was kind of being unfairly criticized for his defensive prowess, because we just were looking at it in a vacuum. When you're evaluating and you're watching, do you pay attention to context like that, like maximizing and limits and all that? Or are you just watching real time and kind of doing your thing?
Yeah, no, I've seen that and talked to people about, when he's on the floor, he's, last or whatever, defensively. But I will say he makes a pretty big impact on the floor for Nebraska. I will also say last night, and I'm not going to throw a fellow bald man from Nebraska under the bus at all, because I think he does a terrific job, who may or may not be a referee. But I do think that two of Morgan's fouls were not good calls at all. He was straight up, in my opinion. He was bailing out. Dude was dropping a shoulder into his chest, which is what he should do. It's probably, those two calls were pretty critical, and they probably should have been either a no call or a charge, in my opinion. Frankly, I think Mia's actually played okay, like in the last couple of games in the minutes he's gotten. They needed him last night. Nebraska did, because Berke was out. As much as Berke frustrates me, and has throughout the year by, inexplicably just throwing the ball out of bounds to the front row, or getting, thinking he got fouled and doesn't get back on defense and just attitude stuff. They needed him last night. And frankly, in my opinion, if he plays last night, I think Nebraska wins that game by 5-10 points.
Okay, but help me with this, though, because I heard that. How does Nebraska get stops keep guys from turning the corner with Berke? Is it the hedge? Is it he's the no middle guy, line of last defense? Like what makes you say that?
He's on a ball screen, he can hedge pretty hard. He's done that, pretty, I think, effectively at times this year, where he just hedges.
That automatically slows down guys just being able to turn the corner.
Right. Because last night, Maryland.
A lot of corner turning.
Yeah, there's a lot of that last night.
Well, he just moves a little bit better, right? So when he hedges, he doesn't feel as exposed out there, and he feels like he can recover. Whereas Morgan and Mia both, I feel like, are hesitant to commit to the hard hedge.
I feel like we're being a little disingenuous, guys. If I'm with Queen or Reese and I'm on that screener and I'm the hedge guy, I'm not excited to leave either guy. So I could see where they just want to show.
Correct. And I think that was part of the problem last night, because Queen, he is really good. He is really good.
So that's the wild card here. Sautter.
Killing that mouthpiece aside, like Steph Curry. Yeah. I love everything else about him. Like, I like the random haircut. I like the no hairline. I like how he looks like he just got out of bed. He kind of gives me like my breast stinks vibe. Like he just looks like a dude.
Yeah, like Juwan tried to guard him last night, and Juwan did the best he could last night on it. That dude is a monster. He's huge. There's not a lot you're gonna do with that, and that's why I think having Berke, the other body, who Fred Hoiberg in the post game last night said is, quote, probably their best defender in the post defender. Missing him was pretty critical in that game, because they needed that extra size, another body. They just couldn't slow down Queen and Reese and his elbows. going into people all the time. So.
I think we sleep on Rice.
No, their guards. I mean, their guards were fantastic last night too. There wasn't a lot. Frankly, like Maryland is really talented, and I had this discussion with a few different people after the game last night about they could make a run, Sweet 16 or whatever, and I'm like, the talent is there. They are awfully immature, so I don't think that's
typical Kevin Willard team.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because Willard just kind of lets guys do whatever. He's always been that way. It just lets guys just say what they want.
If I want to see lack of discipline, I'm just going to watch this current team. I don't need Willard to do
that. They were. I mean, and that's kind of the thing with Maryland. Their guards are really good, and their forwards are really good. They have zero bench. And somehow those guys play without fouling and fouling out, which is, I don't know how, because they're pretty physical and can be at times, not all the time. It also,
I watched Rutgers a week or so ago, and I think 4 guys had 4 fouls on both teams. So it's like, I don't know. It's Ravi said something the other day I thought was interesting. He made the case to me about this a year ago, where he said when Nebraska fans complain about officiating, it's almost like they don't watch other conferences. And I'm like, no, yeah, they do. He's like, no, I think you'd be surprised. I don't think a lot of Nebraska fans spend time watching other conferences. Do you think that's true when we're always talking about officiating?
Yeah, I think it's. I think that's probably pretty fair, to be honest. They don't.
I think that's a lot of fan bases, by the way. Like, that's not a Nebraska specific thing. Like, I don't think Creighton fans spend a lot of time watching ACC basketball or Big. Like, I think it's very like I think people that watch just love college basketball in general are more outliers versus, hey, I watch Nebraska, so I watch the Big Ten, and that's about it. Or I watch Creighton, so I like Big East, and that's about it.
I'll ride with that.
If
you watch Big East basketball, it's hard to complain about Big Ten officiating.
That's true.
And vice versa.
And that's not a Creighton thing.
That's not a Creighton thing.
That's a Big East thing.
That's just a. I mean, the ACC is historically soft. Like that.
Yeah.
That's not a hot take.
Yeah, that's
not
just what
even
it is.
Tepid.
Yeah.
That's why they got 4 seeds, right?
The SEC is not soft at this point in time.
Yeah, they play. You watch the SEC and you're like, how do we go through these stretches where these teams like can't throw it in the ocean? I mean, you watch Tennessee and Auburn a week or 10 days ago, and you're like, this sucks. Like Billis could barely get out of the officiating's way. He was so mad at how that game was being officiated. But some nights it's just like that in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a different level. Well, in the SEC, I guess you could probably call a foul in every play. So unless it's like a transition layup or something. So you got to let some of the stuff go, but then they let kind of a lot of stuff go, and it's super physical and at times, and other times it's not. I was watching Oklahoma and Missouri the other night.
I looked at that game a lot. I let Ravi talk me off of it. It's fine.
Yeah. Oklahoma is kind of
weird team.
I don't know what to do with Oklahoma.
Sometimes they look like grade A garbage.
I never know what to do with Oklahoma.
And they're better than that.
They look like garbage.
But Missouri's got a coach that, if it wasn't for a guy or two, you could make the case he's coach of the year in that conference.
Well, yeah. It'll probably end up going to somebody in Alabama.
No, I don't know, man. If Missouri stays relevant, he's gonna make a case for SEC coach of the year.
We're gonna ignore Golden.
I get it. No, listen.
Yeah,
Golden's doing.
I just don't want to be dismissive.
No, yeah, I'm not. I don't want to be dismissive. But
not a lot of people saw Missouri coming
for sure.
No, and if Nebraska ends up, projections playing Missouri as a 7-10, I'm not sure that one is the matchup you want.